Welcome to Unit 3. Unit 3 looks at creating what we call organizational objectives. Organizational objectives. Objectives and types of objectives. At the end of this unit, participants will be able to state clearly what is an objective and, of course, list the different types of objectives. Objectives represent the desired outcome of a planned activity. When you plan an activity, what are your expectations? Desired outcome. Desired outcome. We have different types of objective and different levels of objectives. But the most important thing, objectives play a very crucial role of improving the efficiency and effectiveness of an organization. Once you have an objective, you will know whether the organization is being run properly. And objectives, one, objectives should be clear, precise, leaving no room for doubt. Leaving no room for doubt. Two, it should have a defined time and, of course, a deadline. Defined time and what? Deadline. Objective should also be flexible and accommodate different changes within the environment. Of course, objectives should be realistic. Any objective that you set up should be realistic, what people can easily achieve. And it should be measurable to enable you now measure your progress to see if you are moving towards the desired goal. To see if you are moving towards the desired goal. And that is why, for instance, you even should discover that God decided to now set up an objective and say, oh, if this is what you want to achieve, it makes it measurable by breaking it down into days, 365 days in a year, so that at the end of every day, you see if you are actually moving towards your stated goals. It should be objective should be what? Easily understandable by all stakeholders, all people involved. They should easily know. And that's why, again, we say it should be precise, using simple English, measurable. Let them know how they can measure their performances. It should all relate towards fulfilling the organizational mission and vision. So there are different types of objectives. Organization may have what we call profit objectives. This is the primary objectives for any business. It focuses on the profit and it looks at the financial gains to achieve profitability. Organizations may set up what we call profit objectives as, oh, this year I want to achieve an increase in profit of 5%. I want to achieve increase in profit of 10%. But like we say, it has to be measurable. 5% in terms of what? You have to state it so that everybody will know. If, for instance, in a particular year, your profit margin is, let's say, 200,000 in the month, you may now say, okay, in the next year, we want a profit margin of 300,000 every month. You see, you have clearly stated it. And that profit objective may now enable you to set up other objectives, e.g., like the market objectives. The market objectives, these objectives pertain to what? Specific functional areas, which may be expressed in terms of what? Increase in market share. Oh, we want to increase our market share. Then how do we increase our market share? You have to be, again, what? Specific. We want to either increase our market share through new product development. We want to increase our market share by developing new markets. Again, you may set up objectives based on what we call productivity objectives, and it's centered around improving the efficiency and, of course, effectiveness. It will now be measured in terms of the ratio of input to output. We want now to improve our productivity by seeing how we can use less input to get more output. And it can be in terms of product objectives. These are all various forms of objectives that you must decide which of these objectives you want to follow. But specifically with objectives, our emphasis is on profit objectives and how we can improve our profit. That's why sometimes, in order to move on that profit objectives, we look at the various functional areas of organization. That is, production unit by giving them their product objectives, marketing unit by giving them their market objectives, and of course, the human resources unit by ensuring and see how they can operate efficiently and effectively. Remember, we said objectives must be specific, objectives must be measurable, objectives must be achievable, and objective must be time-bound. Time-bound. Do not set an unrealistic objectives that people will find it difficult to achieve. That's why we always say when setting up objectives, involve all people that are involved in doing this things. I say, oh, look, we want to increase our profit this year by 10%. How do we do it? People will bring in different ideas, and you come back and ask yourself, is it achievable? Do we have the resources? Do we now have the necessary things that will enable us to achieve that? It is when you put all these factors into consideration that you now come back to set your goals. The objectives will naturally lead you in setting up your goals. But very importantly, remember, the objective should not be broad, specific. That's why we said it has to be specific. Let everybody know what you intend to achieve. And not just being specific, it has to be what? Measurable. Measurable, to see if you're actually moving towards that. And if it is measurable, you ask yourself basic question. Is it achievable? With your resources, can you achieve what you have stated? You don't give a very fake objective that people will find it difficult to achieve. Some people think when you set up a very high objective, it will motivate people to perform. No. If you set objective above somebody's capability, somebody's limit, he will end up being demotivated. Because if he doesn't have the resources and if he doesn't have the means to achieve that objective, he will definitely find it very difficult. In any business, therefore, setting up objectives once you have your mission is very, very important, because the objectives will naturally assist you in setting goals. The objectives will naturally assist you in setting goals. Once again, thank you very much for listening to this unit. Try to look at various objectives and ask yourself, is it achievable? How do we achieve it? By looking by making, and then make sure that you can only ask yourself if it is achievable, if the objectives are measurable. That's why we always said, for you to measure it, you must now set goals. Thank you very much.